EU's chief negotiator is just speaking to journalists about the current state of play in the Brexit negotiations. The next round of talks starts later this month. He has just been saying that the UK must recognise the existence of financial obligations to the EU. That follows on from the Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson yesterday saying the EU could go whistle if it makes extortionate demands on that front. So let's listen in to what Michel Barnier is saying right now.
All the positions of the European Union, and we await in the next days clarification on those subjects in order to be able to start the discussions. We expect clarification from the British side. I'd just like to return to a couple of points of that box, the other subjects related to the separation. For example, we have proposed a number of arrangements so that goods, for example, vehicles which are legally on the market and were placed there before the date of withdrawal, be marketable, be sellable after the date of withdrawal. Things like this are not negligible points. We've also proposed a mechanism to implement the withdrawal agreement with a number of sub-points. For example, a mechanism based on the Court of Justice of the European Union for everything relates to European Union law and the citizens, but also a joint committee to decide on matters related to the interpretation and the implementation of the withdrawal agreement, which don't relate to European Union law. And that committee could refer upwards to the Court of Justice of the European Union in the case of disagreements. Final example, we've proposed rules which would enable us to complete legal proceedings which are underway, civil procedures, commercial matters, and also criminal matters. For example, procedures which are based on the European arrest warrant. So on all these things, I think what I have to say is that the quickest we move forward, and that's the spirit in which I'm working, really on all these phase one subjects, the sooner we will be able to start to discuss our future relationship.
A final point, if I may. I have always made it clear that I want to listen to the different points of view in the British debate. It is only natural. Later today, I will meet a delegation from the House of Lords to answer the questions. The delegation will be led by Lord Treverson of the EU Select Committee. Tomorrow, I will meet, at their request, Jeremy Corbyn and the First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, and also the First Minister of Wales, Carvin Jones. Of course, I will only negotiate with the UK government. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Michel. We can now switch to your questions. Let's start from the center. Go ahead, Mark.
Hi there, it's Adam Fleming from the BBC. So, Mr. Barnier, you said you want clarity from the UK government. Do you think it's a problem that thus far they've not revealed more about their position? And do you think it reveals anything about the UK's attitude to this whole process, that they've not sent you more paperwork up to this point?
Plus tôt nous recevrons.
Well, the sooner we receive clarification on the British positions on the topics that we've not heard from them on, the better. I'm ready. Our team is ready. If tomorrow or in the coming days before the second round starts, we receive these clarifications, then we'll work on it, we'll look at it in detail, compare, and I'm very prepared and willing to work on this very quickly, night and day, and the weekend, and the 14th of July even, national holiday in France. as you've just said, everybody, I think, needs to express their opinion at the outset and explain what their line is on all the points, and that's what we want. And all these topics, ladies and gentlemen, are topics of the divorce. They're topics of orderly withdrawal. That's it, that's all, no more, no less. And we expect the British government, and I know that they're working on it, express their position. I know they've been working on the citizens' rights. Once we get that position, we'll be able to make a comparison and see where there are points of agreement. And I imagine that there will be many points of agreement, even on some of the other topics. And at the same time, we'll carry out an evaluation and come up with a diagnosis, look at where the points of disagreement are, and then we can start work on trying to get the disagreeing positions to converge. So I very much hope that the British government will specify and express its position as quickly as possible before the beginning of the second round.
Paddy Smith, Irish Times. A couple of questions, if I may. Can you give us any idea when you might produce a paper on the Commission's position, on the European position on the Irish issues? And is that being delayed at all by the failure of the Northern Ireland parties to agree to create to go back into the executive? Secondly, the fisheries issue. Do you believe that it is compatible with any prospect of a transition agreement that the British should repudiate access to their coastal region? And would that hold up any kind of transition agreement? And finally, I just wanted to know if you're prepared to whistle us a tune.
The whistle.
On your last point, I don't want to make any comment. I'm not hearing any whistling, just the clock ticking.
Fisheries.
Sur l'Irlande.
On Ireland now.
Notre choix, en accord avec la partie britannique,
Our choice, in accordance with the British side, is to start on Monday the political dialogue at the highest level. My deputy will be there for the discussions, and that is to try and come up with some kind of joint policy approach, a joint political approach. And I think that has to come about now before we try and find technical or even technological solutions to the issues linked to the border. So that's the work that we're going to start with. And I've already said this to you before, but under my remit as European Commissioner in the years after 2000, I consolidated and facilitated and improved with the authorities of Northern Ireland and the UK the peace programme. That is one of the very important instruments which has contributed to the success of the Good Friday Agreement, and I'm very attached to that, and I'm very attached to maintaining conditions of peace and stability in Northern Ireland.
Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, and he was asked what he thought about the Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson saying the EU could go whistle if it makes extortionate demands for a payment on Brexit. He responded by saying, "I am not hearing any whistling, just a clock ticking."